So you've been watching my videos for a while now. You're getting better, you know, you're handling the game a little bit better. With that being said, if you haven't been watching my videos, I need you to subscribe. No, seriously, right now. But if you have been watching for a while, you would know that we've been going over quite a few things here in neutral. Now, the next thing that we want to go over is how to space trap your opponent. Okay, now this is something that you go through very often, where you press a button and essentially if they happen to block that button, you go through it, right? Because they immediately press something into button drive rush. Now you have to guess the game between strike throw, or you have to guess, you know what I mean, and you get hit and whatever have you, right? So in this video, I'm gonna go over another way to prevent that, as well as an offense structure that will allow you to win more games. With that being said, stay with me. So like I mentioned, you would be playing the game and then he'll immediately go for a crouching medium punch into drive rush, and then now you're in the guessing game. So how do we, number one, prevent that, and number two, implement? Number one, how do we stop this? And number two, how do we implement this into our gameplay? So one of the things that we can do here is, let's suppose that we press our crouching medium punch. We want to press it in a way that spaces them out from our opponent, so much so that they think that they will hit, but they in fact do whiff. So what happens at this point is that now you've set up a situation where it's very easy to whiff punish. Okay, another example of this is Manon's crouching medium kick. In the case where they whiff, now all you need to do is sit there and scout for the option. Now there are one or two options. Obviously they'll either press a button towards you, or they'll try and jump towards you, right? They'll press up forward. So let's suppose they go for a crouching medium kick in response. Now I've caught it, and now we can go ahead and go for a punish. This is known as a spacing trap. We want to trap our opponent as often as possible, right? The moment now when they think it's safe, that's when we can take advantage of it fully. And the best thing about this is that every character can do it. You just need to be more aware and attentive of the options you have available in order to do it from, right? So let's say we can use it for crouching medium punch. We can even use standing leg kick to put them at a certain range. By doing this, we're forcing our opponent to guess. Now let's suppose our opponent decides to not press a button, but they try and jump forward because they think that a subsequent button is coming afterwards, right? After that, it gives us more than enough time to react to the option that's in front of us and get a worthy punish off of it, or at least give us enough time to anti your DP. And this is how you're going to take advantage of your opponent. So some of you might be asking, what do you do when they use a bigger button? Now, the answer to that is that if they use a bigger button, number one, depending on the button you're using, you can still space it out. But in the case that they decide to use a bigger button, guess what? Bigger buttons have bigger drawbacks, meaning that it takes a little bit longer for it to come out. So if we notice our opponent is going for a lot of options right out the gate, where they're pressing a lot of heavy punch or a lot more longer buttons, they have a longer startup. So if we notice that, we can take advantage of it and stop it. And in doing so, we can control the flow of the game quite well. And even with some buttons, you can even still space out the heavy punch if you know which buttons to use. So the other thing is that this can be done with a multitude of characters, right? So if you clicked on this video, I'm sure you need some help. Lord knows I did at some point. But here's the thing. You want your favorite content creators to come and help you out. But let's be real. They're charging like $60 per hour. However, I be doing their coaching for free on Tuesdays and on Thursdays at 6 p.m. EST. All you gotta do is bring the replays and the will to learn. That said, make sure to sub to the YouTube, follow my Twitch so you know when I'm live. Back to the video. So let's suppose I am Ken here, Okay, I want to control the pace of the match, and we want to use a button to kind of bait out what he wants to do. Now all we gotta do is press our buttons at certain ranges, and by doing so, we're now causing a situation where they have to guess, and now we put them in the corner for them to guess against us, right? Another option we can use is use our own standing heavy punch, right? If they press haphazardly into it, then they get hit. So with standing heavy punch, it is a little bit harder to use, right? But you can still get the same effect, and this will go for any character, right? You can even using your standing medium kick. You can use a plethora of options when trying to bait out a button into drive rush, right? We want to make sure that we're trying to cut off them going for this every single time as often as possible. And if we can shut it down as often as possible while simultaneously getting our offense started, it is for the better, of course, right? Then we can make them guess off the situation, and it just looks better for us, right? There are a lot of options in the game that will allow us to do this very comfortably, and I'll even show you one last example of this. So let's use Cammy as our last example, right? She's the footsie queen, you know what I mean? I'm trying to use characters that you will easily identify and recognize what they're trying to do, right? So let's suppose we go for, I don't know, the standing medium kick. Oh, you whiffed? Really? Yes. You see what I mean? Yes. Then we get started, you know what I mean? Like, there are a plethora of options you can use here in order to get your opponent to guess, okay? And what we want to start using is our options to make sure that we're taking to the corner and making them guess, okay? That is the beauty of this structure of offense, okay? We can also use our standing heavy kick, but it's not the greatest in the world, to be honest, to be using that. Mostly you want to be using your crouching medium kick, your standing medium kick, and then using, if you need to hit something afterwards, you want to use your crouching medium punch. Now the reason why, the rule of thumb, we don't want to be using our crouching medium kick often for these whiff punishes is that we don't want to get extra scaling, right? But by using our crouching medium punch, we kind of circumvent that a little bit better. So that's what we want to keep using, and making sure that our opponent is guessing, and you know, make their life a lot more difficult. Now with that being said, any questions?